Good morning. This morning I'm going to demonstrate for you the beginning rounds of the setup rows for the brioche, working two colors in the round in the brioche stitch. The initial setup for the brioche is done such that your main color is done first, and you put the stitches on in a long tail or a German twisted or some stretchy cast on. I'm going to do this in the German twisted cast on, and I'm not going to fully explain how the German twisted is done. I do have a video for that, and there are others available online. Likewise with the long tail. This video assumes that you'll either already know how to do those, or that you'll find a resource, either my own or another resource out there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to the pattern calls for two different. The pattern that I'm working with calls for one of two different amounts of stitches to cast on, whether you're doing the small or the large, and it's 72 or 90. I'm actually doing 54 to make this a shorter cast on and a shorter video, plus I'm using heavier yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on 54 stitches. Again, this is the German twisted cast on. What do I have it for? So under both, back down through the middle, bring it around up to the top and pull that top. Scoop it up and pull it back down through the center. That's the German twisted cast on. Under both, through the center. Oops. I'm working through a camera lens, so forgive me if I get a little off at times. It's hard enough to work through my eyes, let alone through another set on the camera, but we'll get there. So again, I'm putting on 54 stitches, and that's primarily just so that I have the right number of stitches in repeats for this particular pattern. I am working on the Autumn Vibes pattern. It's not my own. It is by Leslie Ann Robinson, and is available. It's a paid pattern, and it's available on Ravelry. So again, 54 stitches. When I finish these 54 stitches, I'm going to just grab a completed hat so you can have a visual of the brioche. So let's see, what do we got? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27. 28. Now know that the difference in this knitting in the round is we're not going to turn this yarn at the end. We're going to just slide it down to the other end of the needle, and we're going to put our contrast color on so that we have both colors for our foundation. It's 10 more, I believe. And I'll check my count. Now I realize I could have paused and just finished casting these on, but I figure this way you can just be casting on with me. You can stop it, you can move forward. I'm going to add one more and check my count because I just lost count. And I had more than enough for my long tail, so now I have an annoyingly long tail. So let's see. Let's count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 54. That's what I wanted. Okay, let me grab a finished hat. Bear with me one moment. All right, here we go. Here is a finished Autumn Vibes hat with a 54 count. Doesn't show really well here in this picture. I haven't blocked it or anything else, but you can see how nice and fluffy my little signature tail here going on, turned into a little rosette. But yeah, it's nice and fluffy and soft like you would think of a brioche bun. All right, and warm. All right, so let's do our contrast color cast on. So our contrast color cast on starts with a brioche pearl, creating a brioche stitch and then purling. It's basically yarn over slip, pearl across. Okay, so to do that, you have to get this yarn. I'm sorry, I turned my thing. Habit. Okay, so remember, I just finished casting on. I have my 54 stitches. Now normally I would turn this around and I would start knitting, right? But instead I'm going to just slide that down to the other end of the needle so that my working end remains over on the left hand side over here. See it? I now need to add, to get my double knitting set up here for brioche, I need to add my contrast color yarn into this picture. So to do that, I'm going to take the other end of the needle, because I'm working with circular needle, and I'm going to just put a slip knot to hold. I think I'll give myself a good tail so I can add a nice rosette to this at the end. Put a slip knot onto this right hand needle, and the only reason for that slip knot, we're going to have to release that at the other end, when we come around, is to maintain our yarn over at the beginning of the round. It's going to look a little wonky at first, but when I come around to join, you'll understand. So the directions say to, sorry, bear with me, my screen went away on my pattern. The directions say to, for the round 1 contrast color, say with the yarn in front, and that's important. With the yarn in front, sorry. Yeah, with the yarn in front, slip one, yarn over foot and bring it forward, and then purl one. Okay, so with the yarn in the front, slip one, yarn over, and bring it forward, and now you're ready and in position to purl. This is what you're going to do across this entire row. You're going to be, and your yarn will be in position now to begin the next. With the yarn in front, slip one, bring the yarn over and bring it forward. Yarn over, forward, purl one. That is the repeat. Sorry, my vision's struggling here in the camera. Okay, so I'm going to do that a little bit quicker now. So with the yarn in the front, slip one, yarn over, bring it forward, purl one. I'm going to do a few of these in continental style, and then I'll switch to American to English. So with the yarn in the front, slip one, whoops, yarn over and forward, purl one. I'm letting go of my yarn so that you can see it a little more clearly. Although letting go of it, lost my tension, sorry. All right, so I'm gonna, and this is what I was talking about with that yarn over at the beginning. We have to make sure that we maintain that yarn over that's at the very beginning. When we come around, it's going to want to come off, and this stitch is going to come off, but be taken off. That's that slip stitch. But this is that first yarn over that we're creating over each of these. These yarn overs create a brioche stitch, and then you have a purl stitch in it. So this is a burp, which is a brioche purl stitch that you're creating. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do some more, get across this row so that we can join it around. Slip one, yarn over, bring it forward, purl one. Remember, you're on a purl round, so your yarn is always forward anyway with your contrast color, because you'll always be working a purl round with your contrast color, and you'll always be working a knit round with your main color. You'll never really be, other than this very beginning, you'll never be purling, actually purling into a, never mind, I'm sorry, skip that thought because you will. But anyway, you're always purling with your contrast color, and you're always knitting with your main color, okay? And that's going to give you your basic brioche stitches. And it's always a yarn, there's always a yarn over with a slip, and there's always a knit or a purl after that. So depending on whether you're doing a brioche knit or a brioche purl. This is a brioche knit. I'm sorry, brioche purl and purl one. Brioche purl, purl one. I have not figured out the pause on my camera, my phone camera that I use for this, so you have to bear with me to the end of the round. Always fast forward if you get it. All right, let's do some American. So it's with the yarn forward, slip one, yarn over and forward, and purl one. Do a few of those, and I'll go back to continental because it's where I'm most comfortable. yarn forward, slip one, yarn over and forward, purl one. Okay. With the yarn forward, slip one purlwise, and it's always slipping purlwise unless otherwise noted in the pattern. Yarn over and forward, purl one. I also have a video for the basic rows and the basic brioche purl and brioche knit stitches, so you can watch that as well for your additional rounds for the brim of the hat if you're working on the autumn vibes, or if you just want a standard brioche for some reason tube. Okay, so let's go. I really do have to figure out how to pause and come back later. Maybe I'll just cut some of this out of here so that and bring you to the end of the video. I'm really not technically challenged, I just haven't quite figured out all the video tricks for these YouTube videos yet to keep it interesting and keep it fun. But then again, I'm not like this hugely fun person anyway, but probably think I'm pretty bland right this second. Sorry. But we're almost the end of our 54. Aren't you glad I didn't do like 90 stitches or 72 stitches or whatever it was? We could be here till tomorrow. Coming to the end here. Okay, now when we get to the end, we are going to join in the round, and we're going to have to remember that yarn over at the beginning stitch to begin our main color, our first main color round. And the main color rounds all begin with the yarn in back, and they begin with the brioche knit stitch, whereas the contrast color rounds will begin with the yarn over and slip, or slip and yarn over. Did I do that wrong? Let's see, what did I just do? Oh, what am I doing? Gosh, I just was going on and on there, and I just kept wrapping, and I forgot to be purling here. And I would come to that later and I'd be like, what the heck? Alright, so yarn over, purl. So you can see it's setting up. Here's our yarn over and slip. Yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over. Okay, I'm just calling those yarn overs because I know it includes the slipped. This video is coming up on 20 minutes. When I will probably put a note when I put it up, just stating, like, you know, it's 20 minutes long. You know, once you understand this first part, just go ahead and, you know, move it forward, get to the joining, and then move on to the next video for the basic rows for the brioche. We also have our shaping video, which will be useful if you're making a hat. Okay. And this should end yarn over, purl. Now normally that purl would be a brioche burp. It would be burping. Okay. They're called burping and barking. BRP and BRK, brioche purl, brioche knit. Okay, so now we have our stitches. Let me just show them to you. Okay. We're trying to keep that yarn over at the beginning because we're going to join this in the round, and we're going to drop that slip stitch off. So we've set up a brioche stitch here, or our yarn over. We have our yarn over slip, and we have a purl. So we have yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl. And you'll be able to see these if try to knit a little bit loosely so that they don't try to hide under each other, because they do try to. Okay, purl, yarn over, and look, I did that there, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. It was just yarn overing, just like I was doing before. It should be yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl. So because it's still in the right order, when I go and I join these, I can fix these where I forgot to purl. I can actually use the yarn over to purl the stitch. So I'm not going to redo this whole video and redo that cast on. But if you're looking at yours and it looks like that, yep, you made a mistake. So you should have your yarn over and your purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl, yarn over, purl. And you won't be with me when I do get there anyway, because right now all we're going to do is join this in the round and end our video. All right, so we are now moving on to the main color to join in the round, because after every contrast color row, you have a main color row. And I want to make sure I'm not knitting with my tail. So I'm going to make sure my tail is out of the way. I have a really long tail, unfortunately, for this long tail cast on. So I'm going to pull that up on out of the way. Okay, here is. All right, so we're going to join in the round. Remember, we put this slip stitch on at the beginning just to remind us to maintain that first yarn over. So we're going to do that. We're going to make sure that we have our yarn over there. Okay, and then we're going to slip it off and just hold it in place in the back. It's, like I said, it's just a reminder. So this round begins with the BRK or bark or brioche knit. And the brioche stitches always get knit with their yarn or purled with their yarn over. So a brioche knit, you knit the slipped stitch together with its yarn over. Okay, so I'm going to get in there. The first one's always a little wonky. And we're joining in the round. Okay, we should actually have a beginning of the round marker here as well, which I don't, right here. Don't forget to place that. But beginning of the round marker, then begin with BRK, bark, brioche knit. And then you have your slip and your yarn over. So that's bring the yarn forward, slip one, yarn back, bark. See? Two together, the yarn over and the slipped stitch from the row below. That creates a brioche stitch. That is a brioche bark. More on that in my other video. Thank you for bearing with me as I worked through this. It's real. I'm making it real. I make mistakes too. I'll fix them. They'll be ready when I go. I don't have to rip this out. I can actually fix those on the fly. So I will actually turn this into a hat. And then I'm going to make a video on the 4-stitch decrease. Take care and have a wonderful day.